First up, we've got a video by Maher. This guy does a lot of financial a lot of financial videos like stocks, crypto, kind of all of the whole gambit. And let's just get right into his video.
The tech industry is under attack. A backbone of our economy is burning trillions of dollars, firing thousands of employees, and threatening all of our investments. Bankers and politicians tell us not to worry while they deal with war and inflation. But the truth is our society's changing. Some of these tech giants will absolutely vanish. I needed to understand if this is the tech bubble 2.0, and what I found out left me feeling uneasy. Welcome to the Darwinism of the tech sector.
The Darwinism of the tech sector. I kind of like that. I like how he put that. It's, yeah, it definitely gives some weight to this situation.
This year, the top 100 tech firms lost $2.8 trillion with a T. Billionaires have lost ungodly amounts of net worth. And while some call this a market adjustment, others think that's just a sugar-coated
market adjustment. Put all the quotes on that, please. Put all the quotes on that. Is anybody else freaked out by the potential or possibly currently in a situation of recession? Anybody else? Anybody else a little freaked out by that? I mean, you know, these things kind of happen in cycles, right? There's always something that comes up and it affects everybody, and okay, now we're all freaked out and we all pull out our money from our investments because we want our cash. Cash feels safer.
Way to say, get your life jackets. So is this like the 90s? That decade gave us some amazing things. Britney Spears, Game Boy, and the .com.
Hey, I started on Game Boy. Kirby's Dream Land. Very first Kirby game for the Game Boy. Or maybe the very first Kirby game ever. I'm not sure, but that was me. That was me. I started on Game Boy. I think I was 4 years old. I was either 3 or 4 years old, and my older brother put that Game Boy in my hands with Kirby, and I was just like, it was glorious.
Bubble, one of the largest collapses ever, caused by easy money and speculation. Back then, the U.S. economy was booming, and the Fed was in the hands of a fella named Alan Greenspan.
Okay, so this is why it's Tech 2.0. And I kind of forgot that this happened, but there was like a huge freak out around the 90s, 2000 area.
You might have heard of him. He designed the modern U.S. financial system and happens to be one of the people blamed for the collapses of 2000 and 2008. Thanks, Alan. Basically, Greenspan pushed super low interest rates, flooded the markets with easy money, and started this investing frenzy. Already sounds pretty familiar. And in all this, the internet came along. By the mid-90s, people realized that the internet might just be the greatest invention since the wheel. It was madness. Startups were launched like bootleg fireworks, one IPO after another, shooting up into the sky, creating this marketing spectacle, promising riches and an exciting future. But the problem was just that. Many of these companies were literally built to advertise, built to push up share prices. Monetization, profits, and sound business models really didn't matter if you could just drum up some excitement, and boy did it work.
I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Like, especially in the online area, like, you go to a website, it looks legit, like really, really nicely stylized and stuff, and you see all these products or whatever, and especially if it's marketed properly, if ads are pushed out to the right, you know, kind of audience or whatever, it can really get a certain group of people excited about something or onto a bandwagon or whatever. So yeah, I could see that. And they might not even have an actual business set up yet. They might not even have a product yet, but they're advertising something and advertising it in a certain way that it gets people really excited.
2 months after hitting the 4,000 mark, NASDAQ is already challenging the 5,000 mark.
The NASDAQ was on steroids, going from 1,095 to over 5K in March of 2000. And then
Let's talk about the
hey,
speed
Plushbox
with which
streaming, what's up?
We're red everywhere.
Try a red or a green light.
We're
yeah.
down over 16% down.
I think you might be right, man. I actually think you might be right. I think this one, I did a combination. It's like a little bit yellow with white, and it gives some decent color to my face. But yeah, I think you might be right. All right, let's get back into this. We gotta figure out what's going on with the market.
At the same time has fallen about 18%. The stock market is now down 21%.
The economy crashed, wiping out so much wealth that it took 15 years to reach that level again. So the question is...
That's insane. 15 years. So, I mean, it's really a big deal when we have a market crash because it takes a long time to recover. You got any stocks, Plushbox streaming? You may need to think about reinvesting or pulling out. Get your money in cash.
Are we destined for this to happen again? If we overlay the market from 2000 and now, it looks like it could be the start of a collapse. Now, real quick, I need to tell you about my membership group, Finova. There you get access to additional videos, successful trade signals, and live coaching calls every single day. The type of content you can't get anywhere else. So it's kind of like my OnlyFans, except instead of trying to strip, we're buying the dip. We're talking ETFs, not DTFs. Basically, it's like the stock market, not the You know what I'm saying. Okay, we're in 2022. And we got bad news. A few things look just like the 90s. And no, I'm not talking about Birkenstocks or choker necklaces. We just exited a period of cheap money, speculation, and massive growth that brought the markets to unprecedented levels. And trust me, that's not a good thing. In fact, the pandemic accelerated all of this. It disrupted entire economies, and the global GDP dropped by over 3.4.
That's very true. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm sure I don't have to say because it's been in the news, it's been in articles everywhere, but you know, supply chain issues like majorly affecting chip shortages, right? The whole pandemic. Yeah, it's been a horrible situation for a lot of markets. Man. Anybody try to get a PS5 or a Xbox Series X? Yeah.
4%, burning $2 trillion. And despite all this, for tech stocks, it was peach.
Just a little side note on what I just said. The Switch OLED was actually fairly easy to get, though. Like the Switch and the Switch OLED. Surprisingly, I'm not really sure how they managed that, but they were doing well compared to Nintendo's main competitors.
Peaches and cream, baby. Powell and the Fed did what they do best. They brought interest rates down to essentially nothing, flooding the markets with easy cash. And then the US government pumped about $5 trillion into the economy, 3 times what they spent with the entire 2008 recession. Now, all these measures seem to be the best.
I can't even fathom how much 5 trillion is. Like, if you it's so easy to just say those words. But I know that that's a lot. Like, a lot. It's so hard to fathom. Like, if we talk about the richest people on Earth, right? Like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. And they're up in the, like, 200 billion... Well, I don't know where they're at right now. But they were, at one point, up in the $200 billion range, right? 200 billion. And we're talking about, like, $2-3 trillion. Or 5? What did it say? But a lot. It's crazy.
Best choice at the time. But when the economy's basically drugged, sooner or later you're gonna wake up in a stranger's bed with an overdrafted bank account. And we can't forget there's also a critical social element here. The pandemic changed the way we...
Oh, man. I've been living in a dream world. This is my reality. Oh, that was awesome. That was cool. Yeah, but seriously though, we're gonna wake up one day and be like, wait a second, my house is worthless, and all of my stocks are worthless, and I have no money anymore.
Live. People relied more on the internet and started dreaming of working from a tropical island. That happened to me, and this was gold for tech.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with wanting to live and work on a tropical island, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't live in the Philippines or anything. I'm not biased. What?
Stocks. It meant more e-commerce, more Zoom meetings, Netflix, Spotify, OnlyFans. And these companies rallied, expanding offers and services. But deep down, it was generating a monster.
Yeah.
The pandemic was looked at as a time of struggle.
Yeah,
but the reality is, with so much money pumping into the system, many people actually had more money than ever before. You probably personally know someone who made more on unemployment during that period than they ever made in their entire life. And
that was such a big thing. Oh my goodness. People getting like fired or laid off or whatever, and then they just hop onto unemployment. And this is like the beginning to the middle of the pandemic area, right? Oh man, that was in articles too. That was being talked about everywhere too. Like, hey, people are making more on unemployment than before, so why get off of it? Why not enjoy hanging out at home and being with the family and, you know, try not to stress and freak out during this crazy pandemic time and, you know, just make more money.
There's only so much you could do with your money when you're locked inside. So what do you do with it? You invested, of course, and as a result, housing, stocks, and cryptos all pumped, threatening a massive bubble. Now,
yes. Millions of stars. Sorry, I'm not interested.
The question is it gonna pop? Did it already pop?
Yeah.
Well, we have a
Well, I don't think the housing market has popped yet. I don't think that bubble has popped. It seems very, very inflated still. When a house from like 5 years ago that was worth like 180,000 then is now worth 300,000 and it's not going down, I don't think it's popped yet.
Combination of explosive factors. The Fed has been raising interest rates, but that's not enough. They tried this in '99 right before the collapse, but it was too late. And actually, it almost never works. Right now, war and inflation are pushing the whole economy down. The NASDAQ just declined 28% and did it faster than in 2000.
Just in case anybody's not aware, 28% is it's a lot.
So is the Armageddon coming, or is there a Bruce Willis coming to save us? Let's start with the good news.
Bruce Willis.
We might avoid the mayhem for two main reasons. First, in the late 90s, nobody looked at metrics like...
Does anybody think Bruce Willis is the appropriate hero to save us from this market crash? Maybe. I mean, you never know. He could be.
Profits or sales when judging a company. It was all about hype, even more than today. Tech IPOs had outrageous returns, like 6 or even 700% in a single day. Nowadays, people
Just in case anybody else is not aware, 600 or 700% is also a lot. Some might even say more than 30%.
Understand what the internet really is. Kind of. What I'm trying to say is tech companies tend to have better business plans these days. And VCs do a bit more diligence before throwing money at new startups. Okay, second reason. Today, there's a lot of room for growth. Every company is essentially turning into a tech company. Everything has an app, like even when it doesn't make sense to have an app.
That's true. That's very true. Even if it's just like some stupid little companion app, everything has an app. It's kind of tiresome, actually. Hey, here's our new product, blah, 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 blah. This is our business, and check out our app, and follow all of our socials, and yeah, you'll never forget about us ever, ever, ever again.
Have you ever had to download an app to park your car? It's getting ridiculous. But beyond pointless apps filling your phone, there are entirely new technologies and platforms being built right now. Cloud computing, AI, VR, healthcare, electric cars. Tech is just going to get bigger.
Did anyone say VR? Mark Zuckerberg, I think they're calling for you. Facebook, Meta, whatever you call it now.
More problems and make more money in the long term. But are we actually safe and sound? Not even close, because there's another tsunami on the horizon. And if you work in tech, brace yourself. The tech industry is stumbling, and that means a lot of casualties. Let's put it like this: Amazon, Meta, Coinbase.
Okay, let's talk about the 3 biggest companies in the world. And I'm just taking guesses here because I don't actually know what they are. Alphabet, Google, right? Google is the company we all know, but Alphabet is like the parent company. Meta, or Facebook. Facebook Meta. Meta Facebook, whatever you want to call it. and Amazon. If those three companies, I was gonna say totally and completely just went out of business, but I mean that's not gonna happen. But let's just say they lose 50% of their operating capacity, right? For whatever reason. Oh, we can't get, decent hard drives or decently priced hard drives or whatever anymore. Or, whatever the reason. How would that affect our world? What do you think? What do you guys think? How would that affect our world today? Would it just completely crush everything? Would we all suffer financially? Like, would it be a huge market crash? What other markets would it affect? Would it affect housing? Would it affect, transportation? That's a really interesting question to kind of ask ourselves. And it's completely relevant because all of this is happening. So, anyway.
Microsoft.
Just to get you thinking.
Now take Y Combinator. It's one of the most successful startup accelerators of all time. They gave us companies like Airbnb and Coinbase. Recently, Y Combinator sent an email advising all startups to plan for the worst. Basically, whoever's aiming to raise money should change their plan because things are about to get bleak. Even the money printer that is Google just warned their employees they better shape up quickly or blood will be spilled. The market right now is unpredictable,
that's
and when
not good.
companies look at unpredictable, they see dangerous. But strangely, at the same time, we're in the middle of one of the hottest job markets ever. It sounds like a joke, but it's true. In tech, hiring reached all-time highs, and candidates are snapped up in weeks. But yet over 39,000 people have been sacked this year.
Okay.
How can that even be? Well, one reason is we might be living in the past. Let me explain. According to The Economist,
what's happening? What time are we living in? It seems we're living in the past.
After the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, it took a year before work started disappearing in tech.
Okay.
So maybe we're still benefiting from the boom of the past few years.
We're riding the wave, boys. Riding the wave. And then, pew. Hopefully not. Hopefully things don't just crash and burn. That'd kind of suck.